Hello and welcome to week 2, video 2 for Press Play on your podcast. I am really glad that you are here. Today's episode is going to be one of my favorite things, diving into one of my favorite things, which is editing and production of your podcast episodes. It is definitely going to be a little more in depth than probably most of the other videos that I'll be doing for this course, but I'm really excited to share with you my favorite tools that I use for editing and production and all of that. So I'm definitely going to be sharing my screen and well, yeah, just kind of be going through some of my favorite tips and tricks for editing. So like I said, some of it will be a little nitty gritty. I'll try to not do like too much of that, but I also want to make sure you know some of the best ways, some of the best tips and tricks when it comes to, editing your episode. So again, it's not taking like too much time away, but again, it is still something that, is a quality episode that you're putting out into the world. And kind of like I shared on the previous video, or in the first week about your environment and equipment. Your environment, again, is the most important thing. Obviously, having a couple pieces of quality equipment is definitely recommended as well. And then the next step is, editing. So, and then I will talk about a couple of the best tools for recording um, at the end of this video, but I definitely want this training to be mainly like editing and production and just kind of like make sure you're comfortable with that. So we're just going to go ahead and dive in. I have some notes I'm looking at because I just want to make sure I don't miss anything. So first, I want to show you my kind of my process when I am grabbing an audio file from one of my clients. Like they're like, hey, I have episode 5 ready or whatever. Like I just shared it with you. And then I grab it. And so I'll just kind of show you like my process. So the main tool I use for editing is called Audacity, and I'll be showing you that here shortly. And then another tool I use is called Auphonic. And again, I'll be linking to all of those as well. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and just show you my process. Okay, and it looks like you should be able to see this. So hopefully I've had a couple issues with screen sharing before. So this is Audacity. It is a free tool. You can actually, and while I'm in here too, you can actually record. You can actually, if you're doing just solo episodes, you can record your podcast episodes, your audio in Audacity. It's free. I don't honestly know like what the paid version has to offer. I don't need it. The free version works really well for me. I know it does for most people who use it for podcasting. But if you do want to record, you're just gonna once you get in here, you're just gonna use this little red circle button up here and record. And then when you're done, you would just save it and then export it. So it's pretty simple. If it is a great tool, I would definitely recommend it if you are doing a lot of solo episodes, whether primarily or even just starting out. I would definitely go with Audacity because you could do your recording and your editing and production in one. But so say you want to go ahead and say you've recorded your episode in Audacity or something else. I do want to mention GarageBand if you do have a MacBook, which I do have a MacBook here. GarageBand it can be good as well. I have some clients who, when they do their solo episodes, they use that. It's a little finicky on, I know like when you're first getting used to it, I haven't used it much because I don't have my own podcast, so I'm not recording like that, but it is another option. So anyway, just wanted to mention that while I was thinking of it. But Audacity here, so we're gonna get in here and we're gonna go to import and we're going to import an audio file. And I am just going to grab, okay, so this is a pretty lengthy one. Let's see. Actually, hang on, I'm gonna do a little different one. Yes. I'm going to show you a little bit of a shorter one. I'm going to be showing you this track for a couple other things in a little bit too. So the first thing I'm going to, when you import your audio, there's a couple functions you're going to do. So you're going to highlight this little hand button. You don't have to click anything certain. Just click it to where the whole audio track is highlighted, and then you're going to come up here to Effect, and go down to Normalize. And this just kind of basically, like what it says, it normalizes the sound because some people's, depending on their recording environment, what program they're using, all of that, it's going to make a big difference. So you always want to normalize it, hit apply. So this one didn't change very much. Sometimes it'll change drastically, sometimes it won't. You don't have to change like the numbers, just hit apply. And then the next step you're going to do is you're going to find an area of silence, which she had some gaps in here. She had to pause when she was recording. Not everyone does that. Some people just keep on talking, which is fine, but you do want to find a good little section of silence. Even just like a couple seconds is great. So like I'm gonna do like about 3 seconds here. You don't even need that much, but since I have it, I'm just gonna show you. And you're just gonna highlight that, and you're gonna go up here again to Effect, oh, no, sorry, I apologize. You're going to, first, you're going to go to generate and then silence, and then you're going to generate. So that's just a section of silence, that highlighted area there. And then you're going to go to effect and you're going to go to noise reduction and you're going to click get noise profile. And then you're going to deselect that and you're going to select the whole audio track, just like we did with the normalize function. And you're going to go back to noise reduction and you're going to click OK. And it's going to apply noise reduction to the whole thing. So again, those are the two functions I use. Again, it just kind of normalizes the quality of the sound. And then you just want to have that little section of silence to, again, just kind of minimize background noise, basically. So if you don't, it's not the end of the world, but definitely try to leave, even like I said, a couple seconds, even at the end of your, either the beginning or the end of your episode recording or somewhere in the middle. And just so, again, you can have a little bit of that when you're first starting the editing process. And then I'm just zooming back out. These buttons up here, there's a zoom in and zoom out. There's an undo button, which I use a lot, and then a redo. I honestly don't use too many. Here a little bit later, there's of course play, pause, stop, and this takes you back to the beginning. I'll be showing you that a little bit more when and I also want to say I will be taking my earbuds out here in a little bit so you can actually hear some of the editing tips and tricks I'll be showing you so you can actually hear it, because you won't be able to if I have these in. So just want to make sure you're aware of that. So anyway, but once you've done those two things, the normalize and noise reduction on your audio file, you're going to export it, and you're going to export it as a WAV file, not as MP3, because we're going to use another program to smooth it out even more. So you're going to export it as a WAV. So I'm not actually going to save this, but you would save it. So, and then next, what you're going to do once it's saved, you're going to go to a program called, it looks like I'm still screen sharing, so hopefully we'll be good. You're going to go to a program called Auphonic, Audacity and Auphonic. They're very similar sounding. And you're just going to sign up for this. I know they have, I believe it's like up to 2 hours that you can have for free. I pay for it because I'm editing and producing multiple audio files a week and a month for sure. So they have different pricing options. You can set up an account for that. But once you have an account set up, even if you do the free version, you're going to go to new production. And then you're going to choose your file. So again, I'm not going to actually, well, I'll just upload this just so you at least know. And it does have to be WAV. Actually, here, let me show you real quick. I think it will give you an error message. Okay, maybe it won't. I know it has to be I know it has to be a WAV file. So just make sure you export it as WAV. I think if I tried to start the production, it would give me an error message. But yeah, so you're just gonna choose your file, upload your audio file that's in a WAV format, and then you're just gonna come down here in your output file, which is what it will be saved once it's done doing this in Auphonic. So you can save it however you want, whatever name you want. I usually do, like for my client shows, I usually do like the initials of their show. So like one of my clients is called Fueled and Free Podcast. So I do FAF and then my client's first name, and then I do, I'll just show you real quick. And then like episode 40, and then I like to do leveled because this is like this is not the final version. So yeah, whatever makes sense for you. Again, it's you know, your podcast, whatever makes sense for you and you can remember. And then down here, you just need to click noise reduction because again, that will just smooth it out even more. One new function they've had for a few months now, and I've been using it on most of my clients' audio files. You can actually remove the breathings. There will still be some like kind of small breaths in there. And I'll be showing you that here in Audacity here soon, how to like quiet breaths. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. Some people are like, hey, I still want to hear like some breathing. Some people are like, nope, I want it like as smooth as possible. So, and I will say it doesn't sound unnatural when you do this. Again, it's still like a beta thing. So I have been using it and I do really like that because it does save me some time on like, especially if someone is like a deep breather. So just one of those things. So you can check that or uncheck that. It doesn't matter, whatever you want to, you can experiment with it. And then you would just click start production and we'll take you to one more screen. And then you would click OK or start production again, and then it would start. And then when it's done, you would just, let me come back here to productions. Then you would it will give you an option and you can just download it, and then it will download it as an MP3. So that is Auphonic. When you're done editing, you will actually come in again when you're done in, when you're done in Audacity with your final edited file, you're going to come back in and do the same thing. And then normally I would just recommend saving it as And if you can, when you're done editing, like I said, this is, I do Auphonic before and after I edit my audio in Audacity. And if you have your show title, you can put your name in there. Yeah, your name, the name of your show, and then the track number, like 1, 2, or 3, whatever, whichever episode it is. That's just some basic data that can help with the show's like searchability over time. Like MP3 tags, I believe, or yeah, is it ID3? ID3 tags is what it is. So again, that's not anything you have to worry about too much. But and if you don't think to do that, that's okay too. But you're just gonna upload your file, put the information in if you want, and then again save your output file name. So like I have right here, one is the final audio. I like to put final just so, and again, whatever makes sense for you. And then same thing again, you're gonna do noise reduction. If you did the remove the breathings on the first run through, you're not going to do it on your final edited version because you don't need to because you already did that. So if you want to do the remove the breathings, just do that initially. And if you don't want to, like I said, that's fine too. And then again, you would just start the production again, and then it would save your and that's your idle. Once it's done in Auphonic, that's your final edited audio, and that's what you're going to be uploading to your host platform, which will actually push your show out to the podcast players. So that is Auphonic, and like I said, I will make sure and link to that. Let me move that. And then let me get back into Audacity. So real quick, I'm going to stop my share just to like kind of look at my notes and that kind of thing. So I'm going to show you on a solo episode some things that I like to do. Excuse me, I'm going to get a drink of water real quick too. So this audio track I think that I had pulled up will be really good. So I'm going to show you solo episodes and things I like to do. And then I also want to show you a couple things with interview episodes, because there are a couple things if you have, like if you and a guest, if you're doing an interview episode, ideally you want to have them on separate tracks, like you on one audio track and the other person on another audio track. It does help with editing purposes. If for some reason that doesn't happen, this is specifically if you're using Zoom. If it doesn't happen, that's totally fine. I'll show you something at the end with Zoom, like in your settings for you to do that. So let me go ahead and get back into Audacity. I need to share my screen again. Okay. Okay, so it looks like you should be able to see this again. Okay, so one thing I like to do, again, this is, we'll just pretend this is like our normalized, I already did the normalized, but we'll just pretend this is from Auphonic. You have it, you did it ran it through there, and then you downloaded it, and this is your first run through. So you're gonna go back in here. One thing I like to do at the beginning is I like to have a little section of silence. So I usually like to have just right around 1 second, because 1 second is actually kind of lengthy in a podcast audio. And you're going to go up to generate and then silence and then generate. And then I like to just copy that. So I'm using a Mac, so whatever kind of computer you're on. So I'm doing Command C, but however you copy that, just if you ever, like if you are talking quickly, or if someone, like I said, if you have a guest on and you want to add like a little bit of a pause, you can actually insert a silence in there. So let me just show you here real quick. So if you want to, obviously I wouldn't need it here, but if you do want to insert that little section of silence, then you're just going to paste it, and it just adds it like that. So that is something that I like to do. I like to start that at the very beginning, just so I do have it. So I'm not like, if I need to add it later on, I'm like, oh shoot, I need to go find a section of silence. So again, not a huge deal, but I do like to, that's just kind of one of those things I do like to have, because I usually have to add that in with most people I'm editing. So I'm just going to undo. So I'm going to go ahead and take my headphones out actually, because I want to be able to, I want you to be able to hear a few of, obviously be able to hear what I'm doing. So yeah, let me go ahead and take these out. Make sure. Okay. Hopefully you can hear this okay. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit more. Oh, and one thing I like to do, you don't have to do this, is playback speed. I tend to do it all the way. I usually do between 2 and 3. If it sounds like unnatural to you, definitely leave it. It does just move quicker, like during the editing process, but again, not something you have to do. You don't have to mess with anything over here. Like I said, just make sure you're, usually I would be usually I have actual editing headphones I use for editing specifically. So whatever you have for that, just make sure it's on that. If you ever do have an issue where, say you like for me, I had earbuds in and I took those out, and say I've like plugged in my editing headphones, like my over-the-ear headphones, and you tried to start it, it's going to pop up an error message. And what you're going to do, you can just X out of that, and you're going to go to transport and rescan audio devices. So that's one thing I learned a little bit later on. But so let me just I'm gonna let you hear just a little bit. So this is going to be a little breath. So I'm going to let you just hear a little bit and show you a couple things I'm going to tweak on her audio.
Welcome to Take 5, No Filter. My name is Katie Robinson, and I am the owner of a creative agency, The Brand 5.
Okay, so there's a breath right here. So like I said, I didn't do the remove breathing option on her. So I'm going to highlight this. Oops, let me make sure I get it a little better there. I'm going to highlight that. And then the two main, honestly, the main function I use when I'm editing, it's going to be under effect, is this amplify function. And it's actually going to be de-amplifying it because we're going to be making it quieter. We're not going to be making it louder. You might do that eventually like with your intro and outro files, like when you're putting it with music, and I'll show you that in a little bit as well. But we're going to go to amplify, and since we're wanting to make it quieter, it's going to be a negative number, not a positive number. So we're going to do a negative. I'm going to do a -8. I usually do a -8 or -10 on most of the audio files I'm using. So let me just show you. I'll do -8. So that made that smaller, and then I usually like to do it twice. And so you can actually go up to, you can repeat amplify, or like with me, I like to do Command R, just it's quicker than using my mouse. Again, I've been doing this for a while, but again, you can go to effect and just repeat amplify, or you can do whatever kind of computer you're using, if there's like a keyboard shortcut, So I'm gonna do that. So you saw it got smaller again. So let's see how that sounds.
Creative agency, The Brand 5. This podcast
is a lot quieter instead of, like I said, some people are heavy breathers. She's not too much, but she's a little bit. So I would quiet this one as well.
My job.
So again, I would just do the same thing. I wanted to show you also a couple, like some people will make really intense like S sounds or P sounds called plosives. So let me see. I'm pretty sure she has one. So let's see.
Agency, The Brand 5. This podcast has been.
I think that might be one there.
This podcast has been living rent-free in my head for years. My job allows me to meet some of the most creative, incredible people, and I constantly think in my head, I wish others could hear this conversation, or I wish others could meet these people. Because if you...
So I'm trying to see if she has...
meet these people.
So these aren't super intense. I might have already quieted these. I don't remember.
Could meet these people.
But sometimes people or like podcast, they can be really intense. And what you would do is you just highlight. So it's really this like right here. So yeah, here like a p. And I think, like I said, this must have been a little quieted because I don't think hers was originally like this. But again, you can just do that de-amplify function again. And so I'm going to do that, and just makes it a little bit quieter, not as intense.
These people.
So yeah, like I said, just one of those things, not a huge deal, just depends. Some people, it's more of an intense sound than others, just kind of depends. And then I'd like to find, a lot of people will do like a S, like that sound can be really intense. There's one there. So some of this, I'm trying to see if she has any others I can show you.
Business. Sometimes we talk pop culture. Sometimes we talk trending topics, but
topics, that would be a good one. So this would be
topics, but
so again, you're just going to highlight that. And again, this one you wouldn't necessarily probably need to quiet. Again, a lot of people, it'll be like louder, but again, you would just de-amplify that.
Topics, but
I know they have, I think there was like it's called like a de-esser option that you can like add. I never have, because not everyone, I've heard it can be kind of finicky, and not everyone does like the intense S sound like that. So I usually will just go through, like, so when I'm editing, and depending on the person, just manually do it like I showed you. I know we talked about silences. Obviously there's kind of a long gap here. I know she has another one. Let's see. Yeah, like here, she like totally lost her. She was trying to gather her thoughts. So obviously you definitely don't want all of this. So you would just want to shorten that. And if you want to just shorten the gap, like if you need to pause for some reason, you forget to like stop the recording, you can just, again, cut it out. You just do delete. So that's really what that is. And let's see here. I'll look at my notes real quick. I know there's probably more. So yeah, quieting breaths, sharp sounds, yeah, silences, any kind of filler words. If you have like, if you say a lot, like a lot, I am a major like girl. So I would definitely, and I say a lot as well. Obviously you don't have to remove every single one. Just make sure, whatever you're comfortable with, whatever sounds natural to you. If there are like tongue clicks, that would be something that's like at the beginning of the word. Just like a little click sound. Like, and not everyone does it. It just kind of depends on how they speak and like what word they're saying. Again, anything like that, you can just delete, just do the delete button. But yeah, honestly, the amplify function is like the best thing. I use that all the time. And yeah, so I think honestly, those are my main tips, like when you're actually editing. Um, let me go back into, let me make sure I go back and share my screen again. Okay, so that is the main thing there. So like I said, breath, silences, things like that, any just intense words. This you could always make louder because you can tell it's like a lot smaller than everything else. For some reason, sometimes if you like move away from the mic or if you're just like maybe speaking quieter, it obviously won't come out as much. And you could amplify it. So instead of a negative number, you could do like, and then just repeat till it's louder. So yeah, so those are like the main things like that. And again, when you're done editing it, you would just of course save your work, and then you're going to export it as a wave again to be able to go to Auphonic. And like so when it's done in Auphonic, then it will save it as an MP3, and that's what will go again that you'll schedule and upload to your host platform. So let me I do want to show you, I'm going to go ahead and get out of this one for now. I will show you an interview episode. Let me just, here, I'll just open a new one actually. So we're going to import again. Let's see here. Okay, so here's a couple. One I just got done editing. So you're going to upload those. And also I want to say, if you have more than one person, or even when you have like your intro and outro, your music, one thing you definitely I recommend is saving like an editing template. Um, Once you have your intro and outro file edited with your music where it sounds good, you can just switch out your actual episode content each week or like in however often you're doing your episodes. So that is a huge thing right there. But so yeah, if you're doing more than one audio file, like I said, if you have a guest episode, you're going to want to add both files, and then like which it doesn't really matter which one's on top. That was another thing I should say, and I'll show that too when I'm showing music and intro and outro. Again, I'll show you a couple more things just so it makes more sense. But one thing you definitely want to do if you have two separate audio files is you want to sync lock the tracks. So you want to make sure, and this adds like this little clock here, you want to make sure you see that, because if you start editing that and it's not on, it's going to throw the episode files off. They're not going to be in sync anymore. So I've definitely had to learn that the hard way. And so a big thing with interview episodes compared to if you're just, or with more than one audio track compared to just one, if you want to delete something, let me just show you real quick. So if you delete something here, it's going to delete it from down here as well. And you don't want to do that. So undo again. So if you want to delete like this here, like I think she's just like saying something about like she's making a sound or whatever. Instead of deleting it, you're going to go up to silence it like we did on a couple other things. So you're going to go to generate silence, and it takes it out. And so you won't hear that. You'll still hear what's being said down here. So that's a big thing. Like I said, you want to make sure the tracks are sync locked so everything matches up. And then it's just a little different when you're like deleting, like if you're wanting to take things out. So say if you're like removing filler words, or like say if there's a long or I guess not really if there's like a long pause or silence or whatever. But yeah, the big thing, if you're anything you're needing to remove, if there's like background noise on someone else's end, say there's like a kid comes in or there's like a dog barking or something, you can just silence that on whoever's end that is, which is really nice. And then it won't come through on the person who is talking. So that's the biggest thing on interview episodes. Again, just checking my notes again real quick. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, obviously. And then all the other functions I showed you, like I said, with adding quieting breaths, any sharp sounds, tongue clicks, anything like that. Like I said, that maybe it's just kind of like intense, more intensified, that you just don't want to be there. So let me show you kind of with some music. Let's see, I'm gonna go to this one. Okay, so I'm going to, actually, no, hang on. I'm gonna bring in her music file. Okay, so this is this particular client's music file. And sometimes when you add in a music file, or I think that's honestly the main time, because sometimes it'll be like a solo episode, but yeah, you might have that, but like I said, if you're recording in Audacity, it probably won't be a thing. What I like to do, you can leave it like that, but I like to just see one. I don't want to see a double thing like that. So you can click that drop down arrow there and then go to split stereo to mono. So it splits it, and then you can just, oh, let me take the sync lock off too. Sorry. That's another thing. You want to make sure and take that off when you're done interviewing an interview episode. Um, yeah, so anyway, you can get rid of one of those. And then, so yeah, this is your music file. It doesn't matter if it's top or bottom. But one thing I always like to do with the music, because it's really intense, I usually will normalize that, kind of like that. And then usually the music you're going to want it to play a little bit at the beginning before the audio starts. Like this, I had just done her trailer. This is not obviously the finished, the finalized version. Um, but yeah, so it's going to be kind of intense. So let me just play it for you a little bit. So I would like her music or her audio, excuse me, to come in around that part. So then I would quiet like the rest of this down quite a bit. So yeah, I would want to move that again a little bit more.
Welcome to Take 5 Notes.
Yeah, and you can adjust that, like I said, how it depends on your particular audio file, your music file, audio file, whatever you have there. But I would be probably from here, I'm definitely going to de-amplify that. I'm gonna go to amplify again and then do another negative number. I'm gonna do like -4 and see what that does. You can always do it quieter. Might be a little too much. And again, this probably isn't gonna be lined up perfectly, but I just want you to hear the difference.
Welcome to Take 5 No Filter. My name is Katie Robinson.
So you can hear how it changes, even if you just want to hear. Oh, and something if you want to mute, you can click the mute option there. Especially, I recommend that when you're first starting with like when you're first editing like your music and that kind of thing. Getting it to where you put it with your intro and outro files. So you can hear it gets a lot quieter. So yeah, just kind of play around with that. Usually once you de-amplify it, and then when you do want it to get louder again, so something with hers that I would probably do, since she doesn't have enough, the music doesn't go as long as her audio, I'm going to copy this whole file. And then I'm just going to put it up here and then paste it. So again, you won't need all that. So depending on your audio track, sometimes that's not an issue, sometimes it is. But I do want to show you if you want, the other option I use, only other one I use besides amplify feature is fade in and fade out. So normally like when you're with your intro and outro, you're gonna like with your outro, you're gonna fade it out. Or your music, yeah, I'm trying to think how to explain this. It's challenging for me. So when you're at the end of your episode, and you have your outro is going to be starting soon, and your music, which I definitely recommend using the same music for your intro and outro. Your music is going to fade in, and then it's going to fade out at the end after your outro is done talking. So, we're just going to do this. So just I'm going to show you the different options of like fade in. So it's going to like fade in. So that's what you would want to have like at the end of your episode. And then it's going to go like that. And then you'd want to have it when you're done. Like I said, with your outro, you're going to have it, you can have it get a little bit louder if you want, and then it's going to eventually fade out. And that's when, it's totally done. The episode's done. People can they can listen for that each time too, which is cool. So yeah, that was fade in. And then if you want to fade out, it does just the opposite. So it gets quieter. So yeah, those are the main functions I use. And I will show you with one of my like finalized, I think that would be easier. I'll show you one of my finalized ones. One thing one of my editing templates I have saved for Glenn, I should say. So that is like with your music. Let me close window. I'm not sure if I'm still screen sharing. Okay. One thing too, I wanted to say with the interview episode, when you are, and I hope that just shared. I think it did. I hope my screen was sharing on the last part. When you are done with the interview and you're editing 2 separate tracks, when you're done, you want to export it like normal, and you can do either MP3 or WAV. When you are done with the 2 tracks, it's going to be put together as one track, and you're going to import that into your editing template, and you're going to put that with your intro and outro. And music. So I do want to make sure that, so it's not going to be the final version after you're done editing. It's just going to be one audio track. Again, this is just on 2 tracks for your editing purposes. So Again, like I said, definitely recommend saving an editing template, which I'm going to show you here now. Let's see, I'm going to go to, okay, perfect. Here's one of mine I just was working on. Actually, no, I'm going to show you a different one because you can't see her music. Sorry. Let me go to, here. Okay, so this is in one of my, yep, this is one of my clients that I work on every week. She does weekly episodes. So I'm just going to let you kind of listen to, so her music is louder right now, and then it's going to get quieter here soon when her audio comes in.
You're listening to the Fueled and Free podcast.
Okay, and that's kind of where I showed you, like I said, you can, when you first bring in your episode, your music file, you can, like I said, normalize that and then de-amplify anything you need to. I definitely recommend still having it loud. You shouldn't really need to make it louder, like at the beginning, and then have it quieter while your audio is going. And then when it's done, it can get louder again and then fade out. So that's how that is. So I'll have you just kind of hear this again.
Medical advice.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the podcast. So today,
And then it fades out as your episode. This is like her actual episode, her episode 38. So like I said, I have this saved each time and I just switch out the actual episode file each time. And again, if it's an interview episode, I'm doing that in a separate Audacity file, and then I save it. And then when it's on one, when the interview is done on one audio file, I will bring it into here and then place it with, wherever it needs to go. But so that is like with the intro and music. And then let me just kind of show you the outro and music. Get down here. Like I said, I know this stuff can be kind of a lot, and it's really, like I said, once you get it set up, usually the initial setup takes a little bit. And then, like I said, once you save your template, it helps so much. Then you can just switch your, especially if you're doing solo episodes, it's even easier. You can just edit right here in your editing template. So it's really nice. So, so this is where, like I said, her episode's getting ready to end. And so I have her music where it's going to fade in like that, and then her outro file, and then I'll have you listening. It's going to get louder again, like where it's fun, fun, upbeat, and then it fades out again. So let me just let you listen to this.
thank you. I love it. I'm excited to
Yeah.
pick up that book. I'll definitely be grabbing that. Yeah, wonderful. Thank you for listening to the Fueled
And
and
again, you
Free
just
podcast.
listen for like your music, like, so what sounds good as far as when you want your audio to come in. I have some clients who want their audio to start right away with the music. Some they want it to come in a little bit later, depending on like the sound and feel of the music, if that makes sense. So again, just totally your preference. And then we'll listen to the end here.
And follow me on Instagram at Margaret Ann Powell.
And yeah, it just gets louder. So I made it like I amplified it there and then I faded that part out. So, and you can just like keep repeating like the fade out option. Again, just whatever sounds good to you. So that is basically, those are probably my main editing tips in Audacity. Let me again, real quick, make sure I'm not missing anything. I know I talked about, yeah, like on solo episodes, like I said, some of my best tips and tricks there with interview episodes. And then, yeah, like I said, with your intro and outro and your music file, like I said, there's going to be a little bit more work there initially when you're first setting it up. But like I said, it will save you so much time when you, week after week, like I said, when you are just doing your episodes, you won't actually have to go in and like, oh my gosh, re-edit, redo your music file each week. Like I can't even imagine having to do that. A couple things I wanted to share. Let me again, real quick. I know I talked about Audacity and GarageBand for recording solo episodes. For interview episodes, Zoom works really well. If you already use Zoom, I would recommend that. Another one that's good is called Zencastr, and I can share a link for that as well. Let me go into Zoom real quick, though. I'm going to share my screen again. Okay, let me see if I can get back into, it's going to be under settings. I just want to show you. So, and this is again primarily for if you're doing interview episodes. If you're not doing interview episodes, you don't really need to worry about Zoom. I mean, you can record solo ones in Zoom. I wouldn't recommend it, but again, you definitely can if you want to. So if you go down to settings, this is where you're gonna be able to put it into two separate audio tracks. You're gonna go to recording. Once you go to settings, and then if you go down here, you're gonna record. This is again if you're doing more than one audio track. You're going to record a separate audio file of each participant and make sure that is checked. And you can uncheck that. For mine, like I said, I'm not doing that, so I'm not going to, but that's what you'd want to have. There isn't anything else you need to do. You would, and I believe you want to save it to your computer, not to the cloud, because I know that can be an option or that can be an issue too. So just wanted to share that though. Like I said, that's only if you're doing more than one, if you have somebody that you're interviewing, like you're doing a guest episode. If it's just you don't need to pay attention to that, but I just wanted to show you if you do plan to do interview episodes from the beginning or eventually. So yeah, that is in Zoom. Like I said, those are my favorite. Those are my favorite tools. Like I said, Audacity is great. It is free. Like I said, you can record in there, you can edit and do all of your stuff in there. Like I said, I've used it for the whole time I've been working as a podcast manager. It's been great. Like I said, Alphonic, just use that before and after you're editing your file. It really does. You can definitely, I recommend listening to like the raw audio file compared to even like the first run through in Audacity, even before you like go in and edit it in Audacity. You can definitely hear a difference. It like sounds a lot more like echoey and just not as clear and just appealing overall, I feel like. So I definitely recommend those two tools. They're definitely worth it. Yeah, and honestly, I think that is it. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. I don't remember. I know in my previous video I talked about project management. Excuse me, I'm gonna get another drink right here real quick. And I know I talked about Trello. The other thing I don't think I touched on too much was Google Drive. Let me just share my screen real quick. Make sure I'm sharing. So I'm going to show you just my shared Google Drive. I set up one, and again, obviously I'm working with multiple clients. For you, I would just recommend, or you could even use Dropbox, but you definitely just want to have a set folder for your podcast work. So like I said, I recommend having a project management tool like Trello or ClickUp or something like that, but then also using Google Drive for, so like have your episodes in one folder, your cover art, show description, intro and outro, music file. And I'm just going to show you like for this client in particular, I do her editing, production, writing the show notes. I'm pulling an audio clip. So I have all of these subfolders as well. I have a couple clients I do some social media stuff for as well. So yeah, I'll pull episode quotes for and social media graphics, and then I also pull like a clip they can use for an audiogram or reel on Instagram. So yeah, I definitely recommend using that in Google Drive. I think that was something I meant to cover. I think on the last one I didn't, so I apologize. But yeah, hopefully you can see all that okay. But yes, definitely recommend doing that. And yeah, I think that is it. Like I said, I know this episode was, or I know this episode, always have podcasts on my mind. I know this training was definitely more in depth. And if you have any questions when you're actually getting into, when you are working on editing and stuff, I'm definitely happy to answer that because again, I know that definitely is a bit of a learning curve. And obviously you're not like trying to be a fancy like editor or producer or anything like that. I mean, I'm not trying to be either. I love it and I've been doing it for a long time. I want to do the best job possible, but obviously you're not getting into podcasting to be spending all your time doing that. So, and just know it does take longer when you're first learning. It definitely was for me. You will definitely get quicker with it over time. Again, depending on the length of your episodes. Yeah, obviously the longer the episode, the longer it takes to do that. But yeah, I think that is it. So like I said, if you have any specific questions about any of like the tips and tricks, the tools, any of those functions I shared in Audacity, like I said, when you're editing, any questions about exporting or anything like that, putting your, music and stuff together, and definitely let me know. Like I said, it can take just a little bit doing that, but like I said, definitely recommend saving an editing template in Audacity, whatever, like I said, name it, whatever, however you remember it well. And like I said, that will save you a lot of time each week. So I hope this was helpful for you. I'm excited to hear how it goes for you once you actually are recording your episodes. Like I said, whichever tool you want to use for that, and then you get to editing and putting all of it together. It's so fun when all of it comes together. It's always like one of my favorite parts. So let me know any and all questions, and I can't wait to talk with you more in the group.